The emergency alert sounded throughout the Galactic Confederation Command Center. Red lights flashed as officers from 17 different species rushed to their stations. On the main screen, a distress signal pulsed from the Arcturus mining colony. Admiral Zentrix, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 arms, leaned forward in his command chair. His outer eyes narrowed while his main eyes focused on the incoming data. "Report," he ordered. Officer Klee, a small insectoid being, clicked her mandibles nervously. "Distress signal from Arcturus, sir. The Zethar have launched a full-scale attack on the colony." The room fell silent. The Zethar were feared throughout the galaxy, a predatory species with advanced technology and no concept of mercy. They resembled large reptilian creatures with armored skin and razor-sharp claws. Their society valued strength above all else, and they considered other species as either threats to eliminate or resources to consume. "How many colonists?" Zentrix asked quietly. 15,000 civilians, sir. Various species. The colony's defense fleet is engaging, but they report they're outnumbered 3-1. Zentrix closed all 4 of his eyes briefly. Arcturus was not just any colony. It was one of the Confederation's most valuable outposts, rich in rare minerals essential for starship construction. More importantly, it was home to thousands of innocent lives. "Call the War Council immediately," he ordered. "Level 1 emergency." Within 30 minutes, the 12 members of the Galactic Confederation War Council gathered in the secure chamber. Holographic displays showed the Zethar ships surrounding the colony. The mining outpost's shields were failing. "We must send the 3rd Fleet immediately," said Counselor Drax, an elderly member of a crystalline species. "The 3rd Fleet is 4 days away at maximum speed," replied Admiral Eurus, her tentacles waving in agitation. "By then, there will be nothing left to save." "What about the Proxima Defense Force?" asked another counselor. "Too small. They would be sacrificed for nothing," Zentrix responded. The arguments continued as the situation at Arcturus grew worse. The colony's main shield generator failed. Zethar ground troops began landing. The colonists' desperate messages flooded the emergency channels. In the corner of the chamber, a figure who had remained silent finally spoke. Admiral Xorax was the oldest military leader in the Confederation, his scaly skin bearing the scars of countless battles. "There is one option we have not considered," he said quietly. The room fell silent. When Xorax spoke, everyone listened. "There is a species," he continued, "in a system we have quarantined. Sol 3. Murmurs of shock and disbelief filled the chamber. "You cannot be serious," Counselor Drax said. "The humans, they are barbarians, unpredictable, dangerous." "Yes," Xorax agreed. "They are all those things, and that is exactly what we need right now." The council erupted in arguments. Everyone knew the stories of Sol 3. 200 years ago, the Confederation had sent observers to the planet called Earth. What they found terrified them. A species that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times, yet continued to advance technologically at an alarming rate. A species that turned their violent tendencies even against their own kind. The observers had recommended immediate quarantine. "We've monitored their communications," Thorax continued. "They've advanced considerably. They've united their planet. They've begun to explore their own system. All the more reason to maintain the quarantine," Eurus argued. Thorax pointed to the display showing the Arcturus colony. Half the structures were now in flames. "We are out of options," he said simply. "The humans are unpredictable and violent, yes, but they also display unusual traits. They protect the weak. They hate bullies, and they have a remarkable tendency to accomplish the impossible when backed into a corner." Admiral Zentrix studied the images from Arcturus. Another defensive position fell. More civilians died. "How would we even contact them?" he asked finally. Thorax smiled grimly. "I have maintained a small observation post at the edge of their system. We can send a message immediately." The council voted. It was close, But desperation won over fear. "Send the message," Zentrix ordered. "But be clear about what we're asking and what we're risking." As the signal was transmitted toward the quarantine system called Sol-3, no one in the Council could have predicted what their distress call would unleash upon the galaxy. Diplomat Velnera nervously adjusted her breathing apparatus as her ship approached the edge of the Sol system. Her silver skin reflected the dim light of the ship's bridge. As the highest-ranking diplomatic officer available, she had been chosen for this dangerous mission. Her species was known for their ability to stay calm in tense situations, but even she felt uneasy about contacting the humans. "We are in position," announced the pilot, "ready to broadcast the message." Velnera nodded. "Send it on all frequencies. Include the translation matrix." 200 years earlier, the first contact mission to Sol-3 had ended in disaster. The observation team had watched in horror as humans waged war against each other with brutal efficiency. They witnessed the testing of atomic weapons, the mass production of killing machines, and heard speeches glorifying victory through strength. The recommendation had been immediate and unanimous: quarantine the system and hope the humans destroyed themselves before they reached the stars. But they hadn't destroyed themselves. Instead, they had united and grown stronger. "Message sent," the communications officer reported. "Now we wait." They didn't have to wait long. Less than 20 minutes later, the communications system chimed. "Incoming transmission," the officer said, surprise evident in his voice. "It's in perfect galactic standard." Velnera straightened her posture. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life. A human female appeared, wearing a dark uniform with insignia Velnera didn't recognize. Her hair was pulled back tightly, and her expression was neutral but alert. "This is Commander Olivia Shaw of the Earth Defense Force Space Station Sentinel. We received your transmission. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." The bridge crew exchanged shocked glances. The humans weren't supposed to understand galactic standard, let alone speak it fluently. Velnera cleared her throat. "I am Diplomat Velnera of the Galactic Confederation. We come with an..." The United Defense Council chamber was filled with tension. 12 men and women sat around a large oval table, reviewing the data sent by the Galactic Confederation. The walls displayed images of the Zephyr attackers and the burning Arcturus colony. Admiral Nathan West, a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes, studied the alien warships on the screen. He had spent 30 years preparing Earth's defenses for possible alien threat. The UES Defiance hung in Earth's orbit like a predatory fish. Unlike the smooth, rounded ships of the Galactic Confederation, the human vessel was angular and dark. Its hull was made of advanced composite materials that absorbed rather than reflected light. The ship wasn't large compared to alien vessels, only 500 meters in length, but every centimeter was designed for efficiency and power. Captain Frank Miller walked through the ship's corridors with purpose. At 45 years old, he had spent half his life preparing for this moment. His short brown hair was neatly trimmed, and his blue eyes missed nothing as he inspected the ship's preparations. "Status report," he said as he entered the bridge. Lieutenant Semitha Hayes turned from the tactical station. Her dark skin contrasted with the bright red of her uniform. She had graduated at the top of her class in combat simulations and had never lost a practice engagement. "All systems green, Captain. Weapons and shields at full capacity. The new gravity manipulation system is online and tested. Engineering is ready," reported Chief Vincent Boyd over the communication system, the youngest department head at 32. Boyd was a genius who had designed parts of the ship's unique weapon systems. "The experimental wormhole drive is calibrated. We can make the jump whenever you give the order. Communications are open on all Confederation frequencies," added Officer Lisa Winters from her station. She had studied alien languages for years, preparing for this moment. "The alien diplomat, Velnera, is expecting us to take at least 3 more days to prepare." Security Chief Mason Phillips, a former Special Forces soldier with a shaved head and intense eyes, gave a brief nod. Security teams are ready. Combat suits are prepped if we need to board enemy vessels or assist on the ground. Captain Miller took his seat in the command chair. Let's not keep them waiting then. Ms. Winters, send a message to Velnera. Tell her we're on our way. Yes, sir. Miller looked at the view screen showing Earth below them. This is it, everyone. First contact. First combat. The galaxy thinks they know what humans are. Let's show them they don't know the half of it. The crew nodded, their faces showing determination rather than fear. Mr. Boyd, activate the wormhole drive. Lieutenant Hayes, set tactical alert. We're going in hot. The space in front of the Defiance rippled and tore open, creating a swirling tunnel of blue energy. The ship accelerated forward, disappearing into the wormhole, which closed behind them with a flash of light. At the edge of the Sol system, Diplomat Velnera was startled by an urgent message from her communications officer. The humans say they're on their way. She asked in disbelief, but it should take them days to prepare a ship. That's what I thought, the officer replied. But they... He stopped mid-sentence, staring at his console. Energy spike. Something's happening. Space ripped open before their observation ship. A swirling blue tunnel appeared, and from it emerged the human vessel. It was unlike any ship Velnera had ever seen. Dark, angular, and somehow threatening even in its silence. Impossible, she whispered. They can't have wormhole technology. Her ship's sensors tried to analyze the human vessel but couldn't penetrate its hull. They're hailing us, the communications officer said. On the screen, Captain Miller appeared, sitting calmly in his command chair. Diplomat Velnera, UES Defiance reporting as requested. We're ready to proceed to the Arcturus colony. Our estimated arrival time using our wormhole drive is 47 minutes. We suggest you return to your confederation and inform them we're coming. Velnera struggled to maintain her diplomatic composure. Captain Miller, we expected your preparations to take much longer. Miller smiled slightly. Humans work quickly when lives are at stake. Will you be joining us? Yes. We should accompany you to make proper introductions. Very well. We'll match your speed if you prefer not to use our wormhole. That won't be necessary, Velnera said quickly. The Confederation needed to see what the humans could do. We can follow you through. As the human ship created another wormhole and disappeared, Velnera sent an urgent message to the Confederation. The humans are coming. And they're nothing like we expected. The Arcturus system was in chaos. Zethar warships swarmed around the mining colony like hungry insects. Half the colony's structures were already destroyed. Fires burned across the surface. Civilian evacuation ships tried to escape, but were quickly shot down by Zethar fighters. The Confederation defense fleet had been reduced to just 3 damaged ships trying to protect the evacuation zone. The colony's main shield generators had failed hours ago. From the bridge of his command ship, Zethar War Commander Kroll watched the destruction with satisfaction. His scaled skin was dark green, and his yellow eyes showed no emotion. To him, this was simply a successful hunt. The prey fights well, he noted to his second-in-command. But it makes no difference. We will take this colony and its resources. Sir, his sensor officer called out, unusual energy readings at the edge of the system. Kroll turned. What kind of readings? Unknown, sir. Some kind of space distortion. A swirling blue tunnel opened in space. Through it came a ship unlike any the Zethar had seen before. Dark and angular, it moved with incredible speed toward the colony. Identify that vessel, Kroll ordered. It doesn't match any known Confederation design, his officer replied. Wait, there's another ship following it. That one is Confederation. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Captain Miller assessed the situation quickly. The tactical display showed the Zethar ships surrounding the colony. Red indicators marked areas where colonists were still alive, but in danger. Lieutenant Hayes, battle assessment, Miller ordered. 17 Zethar warships, 32 fighters. They've destroyed most of the colony's defenses. Approximately 7,000 colonists still alive, mostly in the central sectors. 3 Confederation ships attempting to defend the evacuation zone, but they're heavily damaged. Miller nodded. The Zethar command ship. Hayes pointed to a large vessel near the colony. That one, sir. Heavily armed, but with predictable shield configurations. Mr. Boyd, status of our systems. All green, Captain. Gravity weapons charged and ready. Shields at maximum. Miller turned to Communications Officer Winters. Open a channel to the Confederation defense ships. The screen showed an alien captain, his blue skin burned and his uniform torn. He stared at Miller with 4 wide eyes. This is Captain Miller of the Earth vessel Defiance. We're here to help. Continue your evacuation efforts. We'll handle the Zethar. The alien captain looked confused. But you're just one ship. Miller smiled slightly. One is all we need. Focus on saving your people. The alien nodded and ended the transmission. Diplomat Velnera's ship remained at a safe distance. Captain Miller, she said over the communication channel, the Confederation protocols require that we seek permission from command before engaging in combat. Miller looked at the burning colony on the screen. Ms. Velnera, with all due respect, we didn't come all this way to watch people die. Lieutenant Hayes, target the Zethar fighters first. Mr. Boyd, prepare to deploy gravity nets. Chief Phillips, ready boarding teams. Captain, Velnera protested, you don't understand. There are procedures. There are people dying. Miller interrupted. Ms. Winters, open a channel to the Zethar command ship. The face of War Commander Kroll appeared on screen. His yellow eyes narrowed as he saw the human. Unknown vessel, identify yourself or be destroyed, Kroll demanded. Miller's voice was calm. This is Captain Frank Miller of the UES Defiance. We're from Earth. We received a distress call. We're here to help. Earth? Kroll hissed. I know of no such world. Leave this system or join the prey. Miller shook his head. That's not going to happen. Here's what will happen. You will cease your attack and withdraw from this colony, or we will demonstrate why humans have been kept isolated from the rest of the galaxy for 200 years. Kroll laughed, a harsh sound that showed his sharp teeth. One ship against my fleet. Your species must be even more primitive than you look. Lieutenant Hayes, Miller said without taking his eyes off the screen, you may fire when ready. The Defiance surged forward, its weapon systems activating in ways that confused the Zethar sensors. The battle for Arcturus colony had begun. The Defiance moved with sudden, startling speed. Lieutenant Hayes activated the ship's main weapon system, not aiming to destroy, but to disable. Gravity nets deployed, she announced. Invisible fields of altered gravity spread out from the human ship, catching 3 Zethar fighters in their grip. The alien vessels suddenly became heavy and slow, as if moving through thick liquid. Their engines strained against forces they weren't designed to handle. Target their weapon systems only, Captain Miller ordered. Minimum casualties. Precise energy beams shot from the Defiance, striking the fighters' weapon mounts with surgical accuracy. The disabled Zethar ships drifted helplessly, unable to fight, but with crews still alive. War Commander Kroll watched in disbelief. What is this? How are they controlling gravity itself? Sir, 5 more fighters caught in unknown force fields, his tactical officer reported. We can't break free. On the colony surface, the surviving aliens watched in amazement as the single human ship methodically disabled the Zethar fighters without destroying them. Chief Engineer Boyd monitored the Defiance's systems from engineering. Captain, I'm analyzing their energy weapons. They're using a predictable frequency pattern. I can modify our shields to counter them more effectively. Do it, Miller replied. The Zethar command ship fired its main cannons at the Defiance. The energy beams struck the human vessel's shields, which shimmered briefly but held. Their weapons are strong but inefficient, Hayes noted. They're wasting energy. Miller nodded. Target their command ship's engines and weapons. Let's show them what precision looks like. The Defiance fired again, this time focusing on the Zethar command ship. The beams cut through the alien vessel's shields with ease, disabling its main weapons array without breaching the hull. Impossible. Krull roared as his tactical displays went dark. No ship has ever penetrated our shields so easily. From her observation position, Diplomat Vel Nera watched in stunned silence. The Confederation's most advanced ships could never have executed such a precise attack. They're not trying to kill them, she realized aloud. They could destroy the Zethar fleet, but they're choosing not to. The remaining Zethar ships tried to surround the Defiance, firing from all directions. The human ship spun and weaved through space with impossible agility, its dark hull absorbing enemy fire when the shields allowed it through. Captain, Security Chief Phillips reported, I have teams ready to board the command ship if needed. We can capture their leadership. Stand by, Chief, Miller replied. Let's see if they're smart enough to surrender first. Hayes looked up from her console. Captain, they're targeting the evacuation ships again. Miller's expression hardened. That's enough. Mr. Boyd, full power to the gravity weapons. Lieutenant Hayes, create a protective corridor for the evacuation ships. The Defiance released a massive gravity field that spread between the fleeing civilian ships and the Zethar attackers. The Zethar weapons fire curved away from its targets, caught in the gravity distortion. Ms. Winters, open a channel to all Zethar ships, Miller ordered. The communication officer nodded. Channel open. Sir. Miller stood up from his command chair. This is Captain Miller. Your attack on civilians ends now. You have one chance to withdraw from this system. We have disabled half your fleet without destroying a single ship. This was not to show mercy. It was to show control. He paused, his voice becoming colder. If you continue this attack, we will stop showing restraint. On the Zethar command ship, Krull's officers looked to him with uncertainty in their eyes. Their sensors showed that the human ship had weapons systems still unused, power readings beyond anything in their experience. Sir, his second-in-command whispered, perhaps we should withdraw and analyze their technology. We can return with a larger fleet. Krull hissed in anger, but he was not a fool. All ships, disengage. Return to formation at the system edge. One by one, the Zethar ships pulled back from the colony. The Defiance maintained its position, gravity weapons still active, shields still humming with power. As the last Zethar ship retreated, cheers erupted from the Confederation defense vessels and the surviving colonists. On Velnera's observation ship, the crew stared at the view screens in silence. By the stars, the diplomat whispered, "What have we unleashed?" News of the battle at Arcturus spread quickly throughout the Galactic Confederation. Emergency sessions were called in the Grand Council chamber. Representatives from 47 species gathered to discuss what had happened and what it meant for their future. Admiral Zentrix stood before the council, his forearms gesturing at the display showing footage of the human ship in action. The UES Defiance disabled 17 Zethar warships without destroying a single one, he explained. They saved over 6,000 colonists and forced the Zethar to retreat. No Confederation fleet has ever achieved such a victory. Councillor Drax leaned forward. But at what cost? We now have revealed ourselves to a species we quarantined for good reason. Diplomat Vel Nera took the speaking position. She had returned from the human encounter visibly shaken. Members of the council, I must share what I observed. The humans could have destroyed the entire Zethar fleet. Their technology is beyond anything we possess. They can manipulate gravity itself as a weapon. Their tactical systems are centuries ahead of ours. Murmurs of concern spread through the chamber. But even more frightening than their technology is their approach to warfare, she continued. They acted with a precision and efficiency I have never witnessed. They disabled rather than destroyed. They protected civilians first. They gave their enemies a chance to retreat. And this frightens you? Asked a representative from a peaceful aquatic species. Yes, Vel Nera admitted. Because it means they have mastered violence in ways we cannot comprehend. They don't just know how to destroy. They know exactly how much force to use, when to use it, and how to apply it with surgical precision. The council chamber fell silent. Admiral Xorax, who had first suggested contacting the humans, spoke next. The humans evolved on a death world. Their planet has more predators, more diseases, and more natural disasters than any world that produced a Confederation species. They had to become strong to survive. He displayed images of Earth's history, showing human warfare and technological development. But what makes humans unique is not just their capacity for violence. It's their capacity to learn from it. Every war in their history taught them something. They didn't just get better at killing. They got better at winning. The door to the council chamber opened, and Captain Miller entered, accompanied by Lieutenant Hayes and Communications Officer Winters. The room fell silent as the humans walked to the center of the chamber. "Captain Miller," Admiral Zentrix said, his voice betraying his nervousness. "The Council has requested your presence to discuss what happened at Arcturus." Miller nodded. "I'm here to answer your questions and to deliver a message from Earth's United Defense Council." "We have many questions," Counselor Drax said. "First, why did you choose to disable the Zephyr ships rather than destroy them? Was your vessel not capable of full combat?" Several council members shifted uncomfortably at the directness of the question. Miller smiled slightly. "We could have destroyed them easily. But destruction isn't always the best path to victory. The Zethar now know that we can defeat them without even trying our hardest. That knowledge will spread. It's more valuable than a battlefield full of debris." Lieutenant Hayes added, "Our military history taught us that total destruction creates only hatred and desire for revenge. Decisive force with minimal casualties creates respect." A representative from a crystalline species spoke up. "Your technology is far beyond what we believed possible for your species. How did you advance so quickly in isolation?" "We didn't advance because of isolation," Miller replied. "We advanced because of competition. On Earth, nations competed. Companies competed. Ideas competed. Competition breeds innovation faster than cooperation sometimes." Officer Winters stepped forward. "But we also learned to cooperate. 20 years ago, Earth united under a single government. Our progress since then has accelerated beyond anything before." Admiral Zentrix looked troubled. "Captain Miller, what does Earth want from the Confederation now?" Miller's expression became serious. "That's why I'm here. I have a message from Earth and information about the Zephyr that will change how you see this conflict." The council members leaned forward as Miller activated a data crystal, revealing intelligence that would reshape the galaxy forever. 6 months after the battle at Arcturus, the galaxy had changed forever. The UES Defiance had returned to Earth with news of their success, but they did not go alone. Representatives from 12 Confederation species traveled with them, eager to establish formal relations with humanity. On the Confederation capital world, a new building stood among the ancient structures. The Earth Embassy was unlike any other building on the planet. Its design was both beautiful and somehow intimidating, much like the humans themselves. Inside the embassy's main hall, Admiral Nathan West met with Confederation leaders. He was now Earth's official representative to the galaxy. "The defensive systems we provided have been installed in 6 colony worlds," West explained, pointing to a map of the sector. "No Zephyr ships have approached these worlds since the installations were completed." Admiral Zentrix nodded gratefully. "The technology sharing agreement has benefited us tremendously. But I must ask, why are you so willing to help us after we kept you in quarantine for so long?" West smiled. "Humans don't hold grudges when there's work to be done. Besides, the quarantine probably helped us. It gave us time to mature as a species before joining the galactic community." In another part of the capital, Lieutenant Samantha Hayes led training sessions with mixed species crews. Alien officers watched in amazement as she demonstrated human tactical approaches. "Your instinct will be to match force with force," she explained to her students. But sometimes the best response is to use the enemy's force against them. This is what humans call judo. It's not just a fighting technique, it's a philosophy. Chief Engineer Boyd had remained on Arcturus, helping rebuild the colony with improved defenses. His innovative designs attracted engineers from across the Confederation who wanted to learn from him. The key is to never stop asking questions, Boyd told his alien colleagues as they worked on a new shield generator. On Earth, we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you need something badly enough, you find a way to create it. Far from the center of galactic politics, a Zethar ship approached a small mining outpost. The crew expected an easy raid. What they found instead was Communications Officer Lisa Winters, waiting with a small team of human advisors and newly trained Confederation defenders. "You have entered protected space," Winters transmitted to the surprised Zethar. "Turn back now." The Zethar commander laughed. "Protected by what? This outpost has no defenses." Winters smiled calmly. "It has us." When the Zethar ship ignored the warning and moved closer, hidden gravity generators activated. The Zethar vessel froze in space, caught in fields that humans had taught the outpost engineers to build. "The choice is yours," Winters continued. "Retreat or be boarded and detained." The Zethar ship retreated. In the Confederation Council chamber, Captain Frank Miller stood beside the newly arrived Admiral West. They watched as representatives from 47 species voted unanimously to formally end Earth's quarantine and welcome humans as full members of the galactic community. "Did you ever imagine this would happen so quickly?" West asked quietly. Miller shook his head. "No, I expected fear, not acceptance." "They still fear us," West replied. "But they've learned an important lesson. Fear can lead to respect when it's paired with trust." On the far edge of explored space, a new alien civilization detected transmissions from the Confederation. Their scientists worked to decode the messages, expecting to find information about trade or cultural exchange. Instead, they found a warning. "This is a formal notice from the Galactic Confederation. Our space is protected by mutual defense agreements with the species known as humans. Aggressive action toward any Confederation world will be met with decisive response." The aliens prepared their warships, believing this to be simply words. Then their long-range sensors detected an approaching vessel. Dark, angular, and moving with purpose. The ship opened communications. The face of a human female appeared on their screens. "Greetings," said Communications Officer Winters with a warm smile. "I'm representing the United Earth and the Galactic Confederation. We would like to invite you to peaceful talks." Behind her stood Security Chief Phillips and a team of human diplomats, ready for either peace or conflict. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. The warning had been accurate. What had arrived was indeed frightening, not because humans were monstrous, but because they were something the galaxy had never seen before, predators who chose to protect rather than hunt. The galaxy would never be the same again.